My name is Stacye Camareri, and I'm a bisexual female. I had a girlfriend, and I posed it to my mother as my friend. And I said, you realize, she's not just my friend, I like her. And my mother turned and looked at me and said, I wasn't born yesterday. She says, I see the way she looks at you and the way you look at her. And the conversation ended. There was no adversity or no, I don't want this for you. Are you sure about this? That was pretty awesome. My mother is a very strong Christian woman, so I didn't know how she would feel about that. And there was no opposition, there was no hate, there was no, I don't want this for you. It was just acceptance of, I already see it, I already know, and okay. Pride Fest, the Pride Parade. It was actually just this last year. There were religious people shouting hate and things that God hates homosexuals and you're all going to hell, and things that we've all heard, whether we're gay, straight, or otherwise. Religion plays a huge part in every person's life, whether you choose not to have a religion or you choose to practice a religion. I was brought up in the church. I was brought up in a Catholic/Baptist home. What they're preaching is, yes, there's Old Testament. There are verses that say things against homosexuality. I walked over to them and I said, you're forgetting that there are other things in that Old Testament that we don't practice anymore. We don't practice not eating pork. Women are not supposed to pray when they're unclean. Women are supposed to cover their heads when they pray. And we don't practice those things because if you're going to quote the Bible, which I have no issue with, you have to look at the New Testament as well. Jesus came and he changed a lot of those rules. He tore the veil. We don't have to go to somebody as an intercessor anymore to reach God. We can go pray and worship directly to Jesus. And Jesus's only commandment was love thy neighbor as thyself, period. We as humans tend to throw that in as ourselves because of our own personal beliefs or personal past experiences. That was very close to home for me because I was raised in a Christian home with a Christian foundation. If you're going to throw religion into it, you're picking pieces apart. You have to look at it as a whole. That's what I tried to convey to them. Of course, he didn't listen, but that's okay. That's his right as well. His voice was heard, my voice was heard, and maybe he will go back 5 minutes later, 5 days later, 5 years later, remember that. Maybe that will change that person or the 50 people that were standing there or the police officer that was standing there next to him. I may not have touched the person that was speaking. I may have touched somebody else and made them think about it. I did not have a very close relationship with my mother growing up. I'm very different than everyone in my family in that I'm very strong-willed and I'm very opinionated, and I was never a follower. My mother being raised extremely, very close-knit Christian Baptist. My mother's never been in trouble, never done drugs, doesn't drink, never even had a parking ticket. She doesn't look at the color of their skin. She doesn't look at their sexual orientation. She just looks at someone, who they are as a person, how they act, how they treat others, how they conduct their lives. Are they responsible? Are they kind? Hate is something that's taught. She was taught hate. She chooses not to live that. One of the things that I've learned in this life is that you have to be true to who you are. And when you're not true to who you are and you're suppressing something that is a major part of who you are going to be miserable in so many aspects, and it's going to be psychologically damaging. If you're in a home that your parents don't agree with who you are or they don't like it, I feel for you. If you can't talk at home about it to siblings or parents or aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, there's somebody that's willing to listen and let you be who you are. You have teachers, you have LGBTQ center in your area that you can look to. You may have a counselor at school, you may have a friend's parent, and you need to talk to them and you need to talk about who you are and you need to let your voice be heard. You are important and you are an important factor in this world and you play a key role. You're put here for a reason and you were put here the way you are for a reason. And once you accept that, the people around you are going to accept that, whether they agree with it or not, and you're going to love that and you're gonna love your life. This is for parents. Whether you suspect that your child is LGBTQ or your guidance and your thoughts and your opinions are projected onto your child. They are who they are. You're not making any kind of a mistake unless you're pushing your child away, trying to make them something else that they're not. I am a mother of a child who died at the age of 20. She didn't commit suicide. She was not part of the LGBT community other than having a mother who is. I can tell you that losing a child is something that I want no one in this world to ever experience. And pushing a child away or trying to make them something that they're not could push a child into death or suicide. You need to protect that child with everything you are. Just don't take that risk of losing your child in any way, shape, or form. Just love them and embrace them because they're pretty amazing and they're gonna make you proud.